All good? Everything ready? Hope so. We will call this meeting to order with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Marcus Gerard, go ahead and step to the podium.
Bow our heads. Father God, I thank you for life over Libby. Father God, your plans for Libby are good. I thank you for the city council and the mayor. Father, I pray a special blessing over them, Father God, for clarity and that their hearts would pursue righteousness in the city of Libby. Father God, I thank you for your grace and your mercy over all of us and over all who attend here tonight. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Amen. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mayor Williams.
Here.
Councilor Burke.
Here.
Councilor Berger.
Here.
Councilor Cope.
Here.
Councilor Smith.
Here.
Councilor Taylor.
Here.
Councilor Zimmerman.
Here.
Roll call is complete, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Welcome everyone here tonight and everyone who's online. I appreciate all the faces out there. The first item on business is the proclamation for the National Crime Victims' Rights Week, and Kathleen Sheffield wants to say a few words about her program.
So first I'd like to thank you for allowing me to come and speak today. The Lincoln County Victim Witness Program has been honored to receive funding from the National Association of VOCA. I'm going to cut all that out so I don't run out of time. Basically, so what it does is that it supports the National Crime Victims Week, which takes place from April 6 to 12. This is the third consecutive year that we've received this grant. We are deeply grateful to be selected. The award enables the program to host our annual Candlelight Vigil on Thursday, April 10th at 7 p.m. The vigil provides our community with the opportunity to come together, raise awareness about victims' rights, honor those lives that have been lost, express our gratitude to first responders, and celebrate the resilience of those who have survived crimes in Lincoln County. National Crime Victims Week was introduced in 1981 by President Ronald Reagan to increase public awareness of the rights and services available to victims and survivors of crime. It also challenged our nation to remove barriers to justice for all crime victims. Each year, this week serves to recognize the incredible work of the victims' rights movements, while also reminding us of the ongoing need to support. The Lincoln County Victims Witness Program is committed to standing by victims throughout their journey for justice. Everyday crimes, both violent and nonviolent, impact our community. From financial crimes and theft to sexual abuse, assault, and even homicide, victims face profound and overwhelming changes in their lives. Our office is here to provide crucial support as they navigate this challenge. I invite each of you to join us at the Candlelight Vigil on Thursday, April 10th at 7 p.m. By doing so, you will be standing with millions of Americans across the nation in support of victims' rights. And real quick, I just did a super quick cursory report, and to this year to date, for Libby City Court, I've been working on 8 felonies and 1 misdemeanor that are in the district court, and 5 misdemeanors that are in Libby City Court. So that's in conjunction to the 779 appearances that I have from January 1st to, from April to July in the district court for the incorporated areas of Lincoln County, and that also includes Troy. Did anyone have any questions? We tried to go real quick. I cut some stuff out, but not the important stuff.
I gave her 3 minutes.
Okay. Any questions?
I actually appreciate the hard work you do. It's a difficult
It's a very
thing.
humbling experience.
Thank you. And so I will now read the proclamation. Whereas crime affects individuals, families, and communities in profound ways, leaving lasting physical, emotional, and social challenges, and whereas the concept of kinship, the web of social relationships that form an important part of the lives of humans in all societies, underscores the connections that build bridges to support, services and share strength among survivors, advocates, and communities. And whereas kinship is the foundation of victim advocacy, inspiring trauma-informed care that meets survivors where they are, and whereas kinship builds peer networks and community alliances that empower survivors, foster resilience, and offer pathways to healing, and whereas kinship reminds us of the strength that comes from connection, the importance of listening to every voice, and the power of creating lasting change when working together, and whereas the citizens of the City of Libby are encouraged to ask themselves how to connect and start the healing process for all victims of crime. Now for the City of Libby hereby proclaims the week of April 6th through the 12th, 2025 as Crime Victims' Rights Weeks. This proclamation reaffirms our dedication to building connections, standing in kinship with survivors, and creating a future where healing and hope are within reach for everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So move on to the next item on our agenda, which is to approve minutes for the regular council meeting 1672 held March 3rd, 1673 held March 17th, and a special meeting to fill a council vacancy held March 17th.
Make a motion that we approve city council meeting minutes 1672, 1673, and the special meeting for council vacancy.
Everyone, thank you. Did everyone get a chance to read the minutes? Are there any corrections or additions?
Madam Mayor, I have one.
Yes. Which day are we on?
I'm sorry, I'm getting to this.
Okay.
It is in the special meeting.
Okay. Okay.
Page 2.
All right.
Just at the end of that first paragraph under council comment, the very last sentence. It's just missing the one 16 years ago, which was stated at the beginning of the paragraph.
Oh. Okay, so that should be 16 and not 6.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other corrections or comments? Now open it for public comments. Are there any public comments on these minutes? Any public comments? Mr. Orr?
Madam Mayor and Council, on DCR 1117 Nevada Avenue. At the end of the March 3rd minutes, I did question the procedure and process for the ordinance, the distracted driving ordinance. And I also questioned why I couldn't find minutes for the ordinance meetings. Now we all know that up until very recently, committees of this city have not been keeping minutes, which is a violation of state law. And I'm glad that you guys are finally doing it right. But I was called on a point of order that was incorrect. I was very proper in making the points that I was making. Councilman Berger called me on a point of order, but she did not state what the point of order was. And Madam Mayor, this goes directly to how you run your meetings. That is a tactic to call people on a point of order so that you don't have to listen to what they have to say. And you gavel them out and away they go. When someone calls a point of order, they have to specify what they think is being violated. And then I have a chance to rebut that. So I don't think that should just say that I was off topic, because I was not. And you told me to sit down and gavelled me out. And I respect the gavel, Madam Mayor, but I do expect you to do your job properly. allowing these people to have committee meetings without minutes for years is violation of law. That's a very serious thing. You guys should not be above the law. You aren't above the law.
Any other comments, public comments on these minutes? Any other public comments? Seeing no other public comments, bring the conversation back to the council table. Mr. Orr has made a request, or I don't know if it was a request or just a statement about those minutes. Does anyone want to do any corrections regarding that?
I think the minutes recollect the meeting to my recollection.
I agree.
Okay. Any other comments before? All in favor of approval of the minutes?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The minutes are all approved. Brings us on to reports. First off is department heads. Mr. Sykes, City Administrator report.
Yes, Madam Mayor and Council, good evening. Well, right after we approved replacing 5 of the 27 heat exchangers within City Halls for a little over $57,000, one of our big air handler units just went out. So we're going to go ahead and get quotes on that and try to get that all set up to get it repaired because it's feeding pure north. I hate to sound redundant, but again, this is exactly why we have a capital improvement plan. We were able to approve this expenditure once it comes in without cutting anybody's budget or going out to borrow money or finding funding from another source. So I just thank the mayor and council for funding that and taking the capital improvement plan seriously because it's a serious item. The water right now with the seasonal runoff, the plant has been working incredibly hard to keep the turbidity down so that we are within acceptable levels so we don't have to go to a boil order. I just want to warn everybody that this time of year we could go into a boil order, which can really affect the dialysis clinic, the hospital, and some of the elderly around us. So we're trying to do the best we can. And I'd like to thank the streets crew for up there cleaning out everything every single day and trying to make sure that the water's clean. We contacted a couple of engineers for our Cicada 5 system for the water plant that's going down, and we were able to find quite a few parts that we're going to be needing. So we're going ahead and we're ordering those parts in, and then one of the engineering firms actually looking at purchasing the rights to the data stream, whatever it is, to fix them in the future, and that'll give us time to go ahead and put some more funding in the capital improvement plan, put that project into our preliminary engineering report so we can get this corrected. Because it's going to be $500,000 to $600,000 in today's funding to make sure that we can fix that within hopefully the next 5 to 10 years. We're going to be meeting with the NRDP next week, and we're going to look at options for the lower reservoir. Hopefully, since Flower Creek dries out every year, we can consider the lower reservoir a fish habitat or a bird sanctuary. And if we can get that type of status, the National Resource Damage Program could kick us some funding in order for us to work on our infrastructure up there. Our spillway, the overflows, and maybe part of the dredging out of it. So that would help us out a lot and to make the habitat up there, keep it for the animals. With the sewer department, we're putting together a plan to get estimates. We need to replace 2 sections of 8-inch inside diameter pipes that go from our clarifiers to the oxygen disc, because decades ago, they did the repair and they necked it down to a 4-inch flex hose, and that's starting to leak out pretty bad and getting ready to blow out. So we're trying to repair it on our time instead of on their time. But the deeper we're digging into this problem, it can be a catastrophic failure if we have to dig too close to the oxidation ditch. It could blow out. So this little project now went from a simple fix into a large problem. And again, not sounding redundant, this is exactly why we had a capital improvement plan and why we had to raise the rates so that we can cover these problems before they come up, because if those lines fail, our sewer plant's down. So I just want to say thanks again for that. I'm hoping to keep the cost of those repairs at under $200K within the next year. With the Lincoln County Emergency Management Office, we had a power outage working group. Just to let you know, what we're trying to do now is upsize our generator for this building to where we can power the whole building, including our boiler system, the gymnasium over there, and our kitchen area, along with emergency dispatch. The goal would be that in a major power outage, we could be a warming tent, but we could still be a spot for first responders with the backup dispatch and everything. We're hopefully going to go out for a grant for that within the next 6 months to a year. Spruce Street reconstruction from the highway coming up basically to the concession stand should be starting roughly 2 weeks from now, a little bit earlier, and it's going to last about a month. It is going to have some interruption for the tenants, but we're going to try to minimize that as much as we can. If there's a tournament, maybe we could stop early or something. We're working with Noble on that now. The reason we're doing Spruce Street now is because it is one of the worst roads in the city. If you haven't seen it, just drive on it, you'll be able to tell. And then I'm hoping that within the next 2 weeks to a month, we go out for bids for the second half of Spruce Street to finish it all the way to the Port Authority. And then after that major road repair, just a spoiler alert, we're looking at 10th Street from behind Kaiju and then behind McDonald's, because that road is really trashed too. So that's one of our next big roads projects we'll have coming up. We had a great meeting with the National Guard last Wednesday. If you go down to Riverfront Park, they're trying to use the eastern or backmost boat launch area. And what they do now is they're water purification. So they just need to set up basically a concertina piece of equipment and have a few people. And the original proposed lease was for 3 times a year, 6 days, and it was over a lot larger period. So we had a meeting with them saying we need to cut this down. So we brought in everybody from Helena, and the first thing, the main topic was Riverfront Park is a park first and foremost. We can't just take it over for military training. They totally agreed with that. So we talked about cutting down the training days. Come to find out, they only needed 2 days, one with equipment, no overnight, and then the next day was just water sampling. And then with that, we talked about pedestrian control measures to keep safety going on out there. Cutting down the number of training days per year. Military vehicles are rather large, and to reduce that liability, it would only be used to drop off equipment, and then we're looking at parking out in the back gravel area and just having the troops walk back and forth from there for the one day that they're going to be using it. All their treated water cannot just go right back into the river because of DEQ regulations, but it is perfectly okay for them to go into our storm drains, and in the summertime it'd be a good spot. We'll just have a spot where they can dump it into there. We really got to reduce the conflict with any events at Fred Brown. It's not going to happen during any of the large festivals. We're going to be able to market a year out so that if somebody wants to come in for a wedding, there wouldn't be any disruptions or anything to those things going on. And then we're going to try to coordinate classes and tours of like our water plant, and we're going to kind of explore some cooperation because they do water purification, that if our plant goes down or something goes wrong, could they purify our water just to have stations around the city to where we could have safe drinking water in that? Or if there's a hazardous spill through the EMA, could they create washout sites? Because that's right up their alley. So we're trying to coordinate some of that training. Lastly, we've been working with the NRDP and WWC Engineering on the hydrology study and the plan for the spoils pile up by the dam. Right now we're hoping to get a final contract in to get the council to approve it, and that would only be for phase 1. That's just the hydrology study and the study of the spoils pile itself. After that's all completed, then it would come before the council, and the council would have to decide whether to move on phase 2 or not, whether to create the parking lot or not. And that's my report, Madam Mayor and Council.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Sykes? Comments? Okay. Mr. Williams, streets report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Is meeting muted?
No? No, it's on.
Is it?
Yep.
Yes.
Like I said, good evening. So we've been jetting, sweeping, patching potholes. So that's our core work. We had 3 burials at the cemetery last month. We also had 3 water service line replacements and 2 water main repairs. We had 2 sewer service line replacements and 1 sewer main repair. We also had a lost time injury, 6 days, contributed to slips, trips, and falls. 1 employee still out on surgery recovery. We've had numerous sick days last month due to illness of everything going around, medical conditions, etc. Flower pots are currently at Granite Peaks. Gardens getting prepared so we get them hung up downtown when they're ready to go. As Sam stated earlier, we've been spending quite a bit of time up at the lower reservoir, early runoff from that one big rain event we had. We were anticipating an inch and a half of water or precipitation. So it's been keeping us on our toes to make sure the screens are allowing our water to pass through to the said basin and make its way to the plant for processing. 4 trees removed this spring so far. Working with the mayor and Jennifer Nelson and some of the other hazard trees that have been identified and requested to be removed. So we've been working on that. 2 new garbage cans, one at Fireman's Park, the other at the cemetery's ball field. Also working with the high school softball team, the Little League, Morford's for state police for field prep, some site rehab and rotary grade. Thank you to Noble and TCI for material contributions, and Dave and Derek Benefield for the volunteer equipment time for prepping the site and making it look great. And thank you to all the other volunteers for their time and efforts that they put forth on policing area, walking around, communicating, moving stuff around, just making it a lot more appealing. They put a lot of energy into it this year. It looks great. Been dealing with some building maintenance at the street shop. We also had a walk down with the engineers and Thompson Contracting on punch list items relative to the sewer main replacement schedules. With those, we have a repave of the Flower, Nevada intersection. We'll be sealing the seams on 3 of the schedules and a little bit of topsoil placement, and that will rectify those punch list items that were identified. We did receive our new paint machine. That thing looks brand new. It's gonna work well. A lot of maintenance being done. The water department service truck and motor repairs. Paver cylinder had 2 cylinders need to be rebuilt. Got that accomplished. Snow blower pickup shafts draws up the snow, and then the gearbox doing an inspection on that because of hours. And then we had a hydraulic motor rebuild on the short sweeper, and then new injector seals on the Elgin sweeper. So water leak repairs will be kicking off tomorrow. So those are the ones that were identified this last fall. So it'll be spring 2025 water leak repairs. Thompson Contracting is going to be performing some of those works, all the hard targets. They'll be getting started tomorrow morning. So we have a lot to get done this year.
You mentioned the paint machine.
Yep.
Do you have a time frame for when you are going to be trying to stripe all of our streets? I know it's weather dependent, so.
Absolutely. I would think sometime in June. I want the weather to stay warm for the night and the evening to keep the asphalt warm, because my intent is to perform this task in the evening and maybe start off with 1 block, see what we get accomplished, and then maybe move on to a second block. So maybe try to do 2 blocks in the evening, but I'll try to work that detail out. But I think the nighttime is going to be the best time to do it. I'll just have to just make a schedule adjustment. I think that will suffice.
It's a very common topic to be asked about, so that's why I was looking for a little more detail. So does anyone else have a comment or question? Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Finance?
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you. Council, we have finished our fiscal year 24 audit 3 months earlier than normal. Yay! Yeah, I got it right there. The reason is it was a federal audit this year, and that has due to the ARPA money. And it was going all great, and there was one little finding, and I was so proud there wasn't going to be one, but it wasn't at 100% for the deposits at the bank, the way they cover our money, even though it was legal. The auditors recommend 100%. So before I even had the meeting with the auditor, that was all fixed. The bank is now at 100%. So, but that was it, and now we're ready to go on to the next year.
Next year for that.
Yes.
No finding.
Yeah, no finding.
Any questions so far? Okay. Please.
Good job.
It is a good job. Please report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, Council. Let's see here. March was another consistent month with us. 2025, we had 160 cases compared to last year's 162. We're down on violent crime, which is always a huge win for us. We had 1 assault, 5 disturbances, 6 threatening cases, 3 thefts, 25 suspicious acts, 8 crashes, 3 drug or alcohol related incidents, 6 mental health calls, 8 calls for vagrancy, 2 welfare checks, 15 public assists, 9 911 calls, 1 juvenile problem, 10 city ordinances, and 26 traffic stops. So we stayed pretty busy throughout the month. A little additional information: in about 2 weeks now, April 23rd, Officer Stevenson will be heading off to the police academy. He's very eager to do so and has been doing very well on his ride-alongs currently. Also, we've been very fortunate. I'm sure you guys have seen around town, we have some new decals on our patrol cars. Those decals we were able to put in with that Montana tourism grant, so it didn't cost the city anything. And then the last decal we were able to get was donated by the community as well. We also were awarded new body armor for all of our officers, which totaled to about $15,810 that Shield 616 was able to help raise through the support of this community. And we're very grateful for that, and obviously it's phenomenal armor, and the guys are very fortunate to have it. We also were awarded the Mason Moore grant for our Go Bags, which was another $5,000, as well as the DUI Task Force awarded us $3,010 for state-of-the-art breathalyzers. So the agency's been very fortunate this past month in receiving funds from across the state. We've got another grant that's coming out next month, and hopefully we'll be awarded that one as well. That will be $159,000, which will be another patrol car, as well as new radar and camera systems, both in-car and body-worn cameras. That also builds a local storage unit, so it's a one-time fee. We don't have to worry about recurring costs or subscription fees. And so that will be a phenomenal asset. So again, we're just hoping for that one. Like I said, we'll hear soon. And then probably next month, I'll be bringing another grant for you from the Tracy Foundation out of Helena, which is for capital improvements to work on our buildings. So we're very appreciative of this community and the support that you guys constantly give us, and we're pleased to serve. Questions?
When's your new Challenger getting here? Charger.
It was due last Friday, and they moved the due date to this Wednesday, so we'll see. I'm hoping by Christmas. maybe this Christmas, maybe next Christmas.
Any other questions or comments?
I think we're all very pleased that you keep finding all these pots of money, and you're really outfitting your department well.
I'm trying my best. I've been very fortunate.
It's fantastic. Yeah, good job.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, very good job.
Thank you. Okay, move on to committee reports. First is the budget. It is that time of the year where we reorganize the budget committee. We'll be getting the timeline out. Leanne is organizing our meetings with the department heads this week or next week. So that will get underway so that we can get our budget done in time to meet the state deadlines in August. So, building report.
We currently don't have a building report. We just got our newest member appointed on the list today, so we'll be setting one up here for the future.
Okay. Cemetery Parks is on the agenda. Fire?
I had both reports and I left them on my desk. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'll have those at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. The light streets and sidewalks is also on the agenda. There's no ordinance at the moment, no water, sewer, and wildlife.
We do have a report. We were able to harvest 20 turkeys with the aid of the Libby PD and Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks. We were able to donate all of those, and they're looking to hopefully do that again in the future. And they have wrapped up their CWD trapping for the season. They're on the agenda later to give us an update.
Thank you. Boards and commissions. I put the planning zoning board in because I had seen that there was some activity, but I didn't know if you actually have anything, any meetings or anything
Well,
in
we're
the future.
tentatively planning for a meeting at the end of the month. We're awaiting a petition for annexation. So.
Okay. Okay. So we will move on to comments for items not on the agenda. To ensure that everyone understands how to engage with this public proceeding, first there is the dedicated public comment. I think I have the wrong one. For the public comment period next is part of our agenda. It's time for the public to comment on any matter that is not on tonight's agenda, but is within the jurisdiction of the Libby City Council. This is a comment period, not a question and answer period, and each person has 3 minutes. If you have a comment on a topic not on the agenda, step to the podium, state your name and address, and make your comment. So are there any public comments on items not on the agenda? Any public comments? Public comments. Okay, seeing none, we will move on to our agenda. And the next up is for a public hearing on the conditional use permit. It was noticed in the Western News on 3/18 so that we could proceed forward with the public hearing. It is in regard to a conditional use permit for Terry Best at 1404 Louisiana. Mr. Sykes, do you want to, you have talked with him the most, so where is he? Here?
He's
Oh,
present.
okay, it's back in the back. Okay, Terry, I'm sorry.
First off, I'd like to thank you for considering my request and for all the hard work you've done to get us to this point. Appreciate it. So how it came about, well, I've been a machinist for my whole career. I retired for a few years. I kind of miss it. I was at a gun shop with my grandson, and the proprietor asked me if I'd consider threading muzzles for muzzle devices of brakes or suppressors. And so I saw it as kind of an opportunity to get back into the businesses. Apparently this service is not available in the area. You have to go to Kalispell or somewhere in Idaho to have it done. And so I'd like to do that in my garage. Very limited in scope. I'm retired and I really want to stay retired. I'm not looking for, I can't do a lot of other outside. I can't do anything that's very demanding of my time. So at my place, it would be in the garage, and there would be no noise audible outside. There would be no traffic. I plan to pick up and deliver the items myself.
Okay.
Just 1 or 2 items a week, probably. I don't know for sure, but that's the approximate scope of the business. And I don't know if you know how the muzzle threading is. A lot of guns don't come threaded. Person has an older gun that they want to use a muzzle device on, they have to have it threaded. So I thought it would be a service to the sportsmen and to the gun shops that would enable them to do additional business. I think that's all I had to say. If anybody has any questions.
Does the comment have any questions or comments regarding this proposal? Mr.
Sir, thank you for your application and your request for this here. I appreciate the fact that you came forward with this instead of most people would have just done it in their garage, and that would have been that. And I greatly appreciate that.
It's nice to stay above board.
Perfect, thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Then I will open, you may have a seat and I'll open it for public comments. Are there any public comments on this request for a conditional use permit? Any public comments? Any, Mr. Beebe?
John Beebe, 704 East 9th. I just wish to express my support in this. It's good to have this locally. Also, again, as Hugh had pointed out, that it's nice that they would come and do it right and proper. And again, I just want to support express my support for this man. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Any other public comments? And I'll bring the discussion back to the council table. It wasn't in the notice that we would be making a decision tonight, and we failed to get it on the agenda because we thought it was part of the public hearing. So we will postpone this decision until April 21st meeting. But if you have any comments or questions?
Mr. Sykes, I Just want to confirm the notice was sent to adjacent property owners, correct?
Yes, ma'am. All council members received it, and I have the list of all the property owners actually located within 100 feet of the property, and I have received no response.
No written comments. And the conditional use permit would only apply to Mr. Best in this location for as long as he conducts the activity.
Yes, and as soon as the house will be sold, it would be null and void for the next owner. The property is located within Residence B. This is meeting standards 17 TAC 10 TAC 080. It's within Residence B, and all the existing buildings meet the zoning standards on the property. They're all designed and orientated properly. The business is to operate from an existing garage, so no additional buildings will be built for this. The permit would promote and is in the interest of public convenience, as currently anyone would have to go out of town to get this done. Operations are going to be completed in an existing building, all compatible with the surrounding area. The business is only going to operate when orders are received. It's not going to generate additional lighting. Any noise that would come there would be standard to any standard garage tool, such as a table saw that would be running or a compressor. No additional traffic would be going down through there unless someone was just stopping to pick up or drop off a barrel. I don't believe that the business would have a significant adverse impact on traffic safety, just because it's going to lack operating hours and not be a open business for hours. It's simply going to operate out of the garage, and that's why I had recommended approval under that code.
Anything else? Any other comments or questions? Okay, if that concludes the comments, we will close this public hearing and move on to our next item agenda. And this decision, I'm very sorry about the miscommunication, but we will have that at the next meeting. So thank you for your patience. As the council moves on to new business, the public is welcome to comment on each item under consideration by the council, allowing you to share your thoughts prior to the council vote. Again, each person is limited to 3 minutes per topic. Comments must be specific to the agenda topic and motion under discussion. The first item is an update from Fish, Wildlife, and Parks on the CWD. And I think I need to move back. Let me get this all ready to go here. I probably have to take the cap off in front of that there. You want to state your name?
Yes. Yeah, so I'm Sam Martinez with Fish, Wildlife, and Parks, the Libby area wildlife biologist.
Yep. Can you guys see it? Have it? There.
All right. And thank you, City Council, for inviting us to speak today. We appreciate your guys' collaboration these past couple months with all of our trapping efforts in previous years. So, as I mentioned, my name is Sam Martinez, the Libby area wildlife biologist. I haven't met most of you guys. I only started in December, but I'm looking forward to working with you guys in the future. So we just wrapped up our 5th year of trapping here in the Libby area, trying to remove some deer from the urban densities. I'm going to give you guys a quick little bit of background, kind of what's been going on here within Libby with the deer and kind of in the surrounding area with our management practices. So chronic wasting disease. It's a fatal neurologic disease. There's no treatment. There's no cure for it. It's kind of in the similar families to mad cow disease, being a transmissible spongiform. It was first detected here in Montana in 2017, and more locally here in Libby, 2019. So since that first detection, there's been ongoing collaboration and coordination to try and monitor prevalence and manage the prevalence as a whole within the population. To do this, we're doing this at 2 scales. One, very locally, kind of in the urban area, the Libby surveillance area, which is mainly city limits and some surrounding properties, as well as the Libby management zone, which is kind of a 10-mile radius around Libby where the first positive detection occurred. So here in the LSA, except for the kind of the urban area, hunting is very limited, if none at all. You do get some hunting samples yearly, as the LSA kind of just barely goes outside of the city limits into the Forest Service properties, but almost all those samples are sourced from agency removal efforts and non-roadkill or symptomatic animals, because we're trying to get a random sample to be truly informative of the population. So we sample deer in town that are symptomatic or may possibly die in people's yards. We don't include those in our prevalence estimates. On a broader scale, the Libby management zone, so kind of all the surrounding hunting units where it overlaps, which would be hunt districts 103, 104, and 100. We do, the past couple of years, we've increased license sales through the 199-20B white-tailed deer tag to try and cast a broader net to get samples to try and estimate the C/D prevalence that's in there with the overlying population. It's either sex, and the sampling was mandatory the first year in 2019 when the detection first occurred, but it wasn't until this last year again in 2024, where we try and require people to bring their animals in to be sampled at check stations to try and estimate prevalence out there in the surrounding area. So here in Libby, in 2019, the resolution 1939 was passed, which granted FWP the authority to conduct and monitor the CWD issue here in the urban area. And some of the goals drafted in that management plan were to reduce urban deer densities, monitor the CWD prevalence here in town, and hopefully try and monitor spread that's hopefully not occurring to the surrounding area, and assist the local community by just providing info and education. Those are some of the bullet points, and those are kind of the ones I'll briefly cover here today. So our overall goal was just to reduce urban deer densities. As I'm sure anybody who lives in Libby's seen it, you have deer in your front yard, backyard, running down Highway 2. So in our efforts, we've been trying to do that through urban deer trapping in city limits where no hunting is occurring, and then reducing the deer densities in the surrounding area outside of city limits. So in the urban deer captures, we're using clover traps, and we began in 2020 following a pilot project in 2019, and we were able to remove pretty high numbers in town the first couple of years, 199, 75, and had some relatively low prevalence. Here in 2024, we do see a little bit of a peak there on the far right. We did have our lowest number of samples. That's simply because I started relatively late as a biologist. We had a short spring or short winter. We just couldn't trap there as long as we had in previous years. But we had, with that, our highest number of detections here in town. We had 12, which had been more than any of the previous years, though, if you're in-town sampling. We don't attribute that to, we don't think it's necessarily, CWD's increasing in town. It's likely we were trapping different populations of deer that hadn't been trapped before. So we tried to shift our focus to, very city-centric deer to remove them that were hanging out, in town and less so on the periphery. As part of this, with the management plan, we were able to distribute hundreds of deer carcasses that tested negative over the years to the public. And this being my first year doing it, I was kind of able to see all the people that we interacted with that were pretty grateful and happy for this. Individuals who maybe didn't draw a tag this year, couldn't physically go out and hunt for themselves, but they're still able to have access to wild game. So kind of just basically a little heat map that we saw here. So this is kind of from 2020 to 25, where we had some of our detections in the urban area. It's kind of spread out. It's kind of based on where we had our trapping locations. We kind of did see two little hotspots pop up this last year. One here, which kind of runs along Cedar and just below where the wastewater treatment plant is, and another one over here, which is just by the high school. So between those two locations, which we had a couple traps in relatively close areas, I think we got 9 of our 12 positives just came from right there alone. So I think those are some hot spots that we're seeing within the overall LSA. Additionally, just to monitor CWD prevalence, not just in town but outside of town, to see if there's spread going on. We had the 199-20B tags that I mentioned to try and increase hunter opportunity and reduce densities that are all around to hopefully reduce the spread. We saw that prevalence from these hunter harvest deer has been relatively low, much lower than that of than that of the urban population, but it's still hot in an area that we still want to keep it reduced. And simple here. So this is kind of like our previous map. We didn't see any major hotspots here in the LMZ for these harvests. It's all, you know, some natural distributions, because there's not really anything aggregating deer naturally that are, you know, when you're not in a town, they're just on landscape making their natural movements. Except we did see a little spot here, which ironically that's where the landfill is. So we did see a little bit of increased prevalence of deer that were near the landfill, which has been kind of a sore spot here, and as we've been hearing in Kalispell as well. Then finally, we were just trying to assist the local community by providing more info and education. So I started this position in December, and we were doing our trapping efforts. The number of folks that we engaged with and talked to, you know, telling them about what we were doing and why we were asking to trap on their land to remove these deer. They didn't know why we were doing it or what was going on with CWD. So we're just trying to increase that information to get that out to the public. Why are we doing it? To manage deer densities, you know, through increased harvest, high buck transmission rate. We don't want to see the prevalence within the population get high as it has in other states, as we saw in Wyoming and Colorado. When you get high prevalence rates, the populations decline by 20 to 40%, and they collapse because everything's getting CWD and the age structure just doesn't grow old anymore. And then through urban hotspot removals to try and decline the abundance overall. And then just slowing the spread, right? So we're trying to educate people on don't feed wildlife, you know, try and fence out haystacks, don't have salt licks, still things I've been seeing today. And also just, you know, safe carcass dumping. You know, this is a sportsman and sportswoman's paradise for wildlife opportunity and hunting, and just trying to responsibly dispose of any carcasses that you may have for your hunting season, rather than just leaving them on the landscape. Helps try and reduce the possible transmission within the population. So finally, we had Resolution 1979 here in Libby in 2021, which is aims at FWP trying to reduce the urban CWD prevalence to less than 5%, at which point it can be assessed if FWP will still be managing that. You know, those goals include similar to that of the FWP management plan, of trying to reduce deer density, monitoring, and education. And with this, and with the resolution, and with our ongoing efforts, especially with you, we've appreciated all your guys' support this year in trying to further our trapping efforts. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any questions from the council? Comments?
Did you want to tell them about your meeting tomorrow night for the public?
Oh, yes. And we do have 2 meetings scheduled tomorrow next door for the Ponderosa Room at 12 p.m. and 6 p.m., which will be a little bit more of a deep dive on some of the topics we talked about today. We'll have Ms. Bevan McCormick. She's the wildlife disease ecologist for the state, and she came out to help us with these meetings.
Any other?
I have a question. Feeding wildlife is such a huge problem, and I guess I'm curious how you're trying to tackle it on an individual household basis.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it can be kind of situational, right? You have people that kind of feed with different intent. Maybe they're just trying to get rid of some scraps thrown out in their yard, or people that are feeding intentionally say, oh, you know, they're the deer, the turkeys, they look hungry. And, you know, I try and tell them, it's like, hey, you know, we all care about these animals, but if we know CWD's here, it's like you're trying to be helpful to them, but you're really hurting them. Because when you have 5 deer shoving their nose into, you know, the apples they're under somebody's tree, or some stuff they're throwing out in their yard, right? Like that's how it happens when for that one transmission, one positive deer can transmit it amongst the rest of them. So just trying to let them know how that happens, and that it, you know, deer will find food. They have for thousands of years, and they'll continue to be able to find food on their own. They don't need us to feed them, and that just letting them kind of naturally do their thing. You know, that's the best thing we can do for them.
So are you going to, I mean, like, are you taking tips when people see their neighbors feeding animals? I mean, there's a lot of people who don't necessarily get out of their homes and either attend other meetings or see signs that are posted in other places, and I'm just curious what the approach is for.
Yeah, absolutely. If we get tips, we'll reach out and try and talk to folks. Usually I try and do like a one-on-one engagement, because I don't I don't think people want to hear me talking about wildlife feeding over the phone, and I don't want to do that over the phone. I'd rather do it in person. We kind of just do a reasonable approach to it, because we have our game wardens in the area, and they could spend a whole week writing tickets to people that are feeding wildlife, but they don't want to do that. We don't want to do that because we're trying to just educate more so than just enforce. So.
Thank you. Any other council comments or questions? Then I would open it up for public comments on the CWD update. Are there any public comments? Any public comments? Public comments? Then seeing none, thank you.
Jennifer.
I just wanted
Jennifer,
to say
oh, I'm
thank
sorry.
you. Appreciate your efforts. Yeah.
Yes, your efforts are appreciated. Yes.
Thank
We
you.
have a lot of deer in the city. So thank you so very much.
Absolutely.
Next up is Tabitha with the Lord noise variance request for their anniversary event at Riverfront Park on June 21st.
Good evening. So as you said, I am looking at a noise variance for the Fred Brown Pavilion June 21st from about 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We'll be hosting our 3rd year anniversary. Laura came into Libby. Laura is funded in Montana since 2014, but came into Libby just 3 years ago. And we're using the celebration to just kind of explain what we do. And currently, up to date as of today, we have provided 193 successful grants with a total of $1.7 million for locally led and locally driven community solutions from various citizens and entities in the Libby community. We use our anniversary as an opportunity to kind of make those all public. Those are all locals that has solutions for our communities and our community and stepped forward, and we just help support them. Additionally, we have helped with grant assistance to get the community nearly $500,000 more based on leverage from our funding or just simple grant writing assistance through our community. And so the 21st we would really just use as a way to celebrate Libby and all of the things that they've accomplished in the last 3 years. We're hoping to have some live music down at the Fred Brown Pavilion and just a good old barbecue with some games in the park.
Any questions for the council? Or
I'd make a motion that we approve the noise variance for Laura on June 21st.
Second.
Okay. Thank you, Tabitha.
Thank you.
Are there any public comments on this request? Any public comment on the request for the noise variance? Public comment? Then seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Your noise variance is
Thank you for everything you've done for this community.
Thank you. You have done a lot for the community, and we appreciate that. So next up on the agenda is the contract for the youth baseball. This has kind of been a problematic thing. It expired last year. It's been hard to, the groups have been changing so much that it's been hard to nail down who actually needs to be on the contract and who doesn't. This is for the Libby Youth Baseball, which is the major user of the field apparently. And so it's only for 1 year. The previous contract was for 20, and we found out that was way too long because too many people changed in the groups and on the council. So there was no continuity. And Walter wanted to do it for 1 year just so that they could kind of get organized. And so that is why it's actually late, but because everybody's been using the field anyway. So.
I'll make a motion that we approve the baseball club funding, or excuse me, the youth baseball and softball for Rimps Fields.
Okay, second. Okay, any public questions or comments? Walter isn't here, I saw that. So, any questions? Any public comments on the contract? Public comments on the contract? Any public comments? So, seeing none, all in favor of the contract?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I will get with Walter tomorrow to get that signed. Next up is Kelly Morford with the approval of the Loggertown Baseball Club funding request for the Rimps Field.
Thanks everyone for having me back. A follow-up from our when I was here previously, the funding request. Our goal and our project still remains the same as last time we discussed that. Just a quick overview of kind of where we're at and where we fit into everything. We have a travel portion. All of our players in the Loggertown Baseball Club are also part of the Libby Youth Baseball Softball Association. This is an extension of that, kind of built upon it. We have a 10U, 12U, and a 14U team. What we're looking to do, kind of the big thing for why I'm here in front of you, is because we're doing a tournament June 14 and 15. You guys scared Tabitha off of her date? We have 16 teams coming in from out of town. What we're really looking to do is kind of have a big weekend for Libby, a showcase for our community. Been in contact with these teams. They're super excited to come. It is the first year. My big goal is that we do it this year, and obviously a huge economic impact for our town, and that we can continue to do that. So as part of that, we have some work that we want to do down on those fields for the greater good, of course, and then also for so we can host that tournament down there at the cemetery field. So quick rundown, it won't take much time, but we've got green screen going up on the fence. We've got fence safety cap that was paid for by Roundup for Safety. As Justin alluded to, we had fresh dirt go down thanks to TCI Noble, Derek Benefield, Cole Spencer. Did a bunch of work on getting all the fields, not just at the cemetery, but Jay Neal's leveled out, freshened up. We've got a new net going on the back of the T-ball field there that was Roundup for Safety. We want to purchase 2 artificial mounds. That's going to let us use softball fields as baseball fields, and then vice versa. You can take those off, and those are immediately softball fields as well. So that's an important part. 2 new batting cages going down in there side by side. Cole Spencer scratched those pads for those last weekend. I assume Derek, somebody went in there and put gravel pad down, so those are ready for turf and new cages. Rick's Reynolds going to help us get some poles and get those set in there. We have want to put some fertilizer and seed down on those outfields, keep those going, and then we have some other things like new bases, L screens for the batting cages. I guess the big thing is as Peggy alluded to, the 20-year contract on that. I know we kind of mixed up in there as far as getting a game plan going forward. We're asking you guys for some economic development money to help us put on this tournament with all these teams coming in. And then also the big picture is that this is stuff that obviously some of it's already started. We're trying to get across the finish line. I want a lot of bang for your guys' buck on those fields and economic impact on the weekend, and I think we can do that. And then going forward, it's all stuff, that we can kind of keep the ball rolling and momentum. This is something that will generate revenue for us that we have no other plans for the money other than to keep this going and keep those fields going and improvements. So I do want to thank Justin with the city crew. He cares what things look like around town, and you guys are lucky to have him on your crew. He's obviously has finite budget and time and all that, and he's very cognizant of that, but he does what he can down there to make it look as good as he can with the resources he has. So I ask you guys going forward as well, and maybe that goes on the public comment part of the contract, is just to stay engaged. You guys have so much stuff. I mean, listening to Justin's speech, I'm like, or his review, I'm like, I thought he just waited for me to call for help on the baseball fields, but he has other stuff. And there's a lot. And I guess just going forward, we can just keep that momentum going down there and make it something that we can be proud of and a true asset for our community. So my budget request remains the same from last meeting at $4,450. Quick reminder, we have multiple private entities that are giving some money, like Hecla Mining, Ortho Rehab, obviously TCI Noble with all their material. I mentioned Rick's Rental, and we have an anonymous donation of $1,500. So this whole thing comes out to about $17,038.28, and we're requesting $1 to $4,450 from you guys to help us close that gap and make this happen.
Thank you.
I would make a motion to approve the Loggertown Baseball Club funding request for Rumps Field Improvement Project from the Community Development Fund for the amount of $5,000 even.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any comments or questions from the council on the project? Okay, then I will open it for public comments. Are there any public comments on the request for funds? Any public comment? Any public comments?
I'm Patty Rambo. I live south of town. The reputation that Kelly has built through the Legion Field makes this town look really, really, really good.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Any other public comments? Then bring it back to the council table. All in favor of the motion for $5,000 from the Economic Development Fund?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Kelly, you can talk to Leanne about how to access that money. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. We really do appreciate all you do.
Yes, thank you very much.
So next up is to approve the Libby Area Business Association's Mineral Avenue street closure request for summer solstice, June 21st, from 10 to 3:30. And
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I recuse.
Okay, from 3:30 to 6, and on 3rd Street, from 6th Street to 3rd Street, and for Halloween, October 31st, from 4 to 6 on from Lincoln Boulevard to 2nd Street. And I understand there's a spokesperson here for this, and Ms. Berger did recuse herself from, as she is part of that group.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. Carla Gerard, I live at 137 Norman Avenue in Libby, and I am here to request, just as last year, for the Libby Area Business Association, asking for 2 road closures, just like last year. One is for the summer solstice, so we can all bring in the sunshine that we've been waiting for. That event is June 22nd, and it's from 10 to 3:30. And the road closure will be from Stitches to 3rd, and there will be vendors. And then the next one is Halloween, which is October 31st, and last year it was 4 to 6. So it's from Timberline to the brewery on 2nd.
And there are 3 restrictions for us closing streets. You have to have the insurance, $2 million with the city as insured, and you have to be responsible for all your trash.
Yes.
And the barricades get delivered on a trailer. You have to place them where you need them, and then put them back on the trailer.
You bet.
Okay?
Yes.
So, just to remind everybody of those requirements for street closure.
I would make a motion to approve the Libby Area Business Association's Mineral Avenue street closure request for summer solstice on June 22nd from 10 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. from 6th Street to 3rd Street, and for Halloween on October 31st from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Lincoln Boulevard to 2nd Street.
I'll second.
Okay. Are there any comments or questions from the council? If not, I will open it for public comment. Are there any public comments on these 2 street closures? Mr. Orr?
Madam Mayor and Council, D.C. Orr, 1117 Nevada Avenue. I think we've clarified tonight that this is a LABA event with the Area Business Association only. And Councilman Berger has done the right thing by recusing herself because this is her 501c3 paid position we're talking about. And she is requesting city privileges, so she would have to recuse herself. I do want to mention that Councilman Berger's past history with supernatural ghost-busting events in Libby has raised some concerns with this because of the dates, summer solstice and Halloween. There was some confusion that maybe this was going to be some sort of bunch of pagans and witches running around in costumes, and I think you've clarified that that's not going to happen. I hope that doesn't happen. So I think you could have done a better job of advertising exactly what was being requested and who was doing the requesting, and that Councilman Berger would be recusing herself. Thank you.
Any other public comments?
Hello, Gail Berger, 302 California Avenue. I'm the current president of the 501c3 Libby Area Business Association. It is a nonprofit. I'm a volunteer. Nobody has a paid position. We're all volunteers. We donate a lot of our time and a lot financially as well. Everything that the association does is community-based. Through our beautification sites, all the events are family-oriented. And I just wanted to say I am not paid by this 501. I also don't own it, as we saw that was raised earlier. Thank you.
Any other public comments? Any other public comments on the street closures? Okay. Then, if the council has no other comments or questions?
I do have a question. Have all the businesses along Mineral been contacted and for the street closures? I mean, not for the Halloween one, but for the solstice.
For summer solstice, I'm going to say about 80% were contacted. Looks like 4 did not respond, and we always do the best we can to get information out to everybody.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other public questions, comments? Then all in favor of the motion for street closures?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. You can see Leanne about your insurance, et cetera, et cetera. Next up is the approve the Workforce Expo 2025 request for Lincoln Boulevard closure on the Memorial Center side on April 22nd from 7 to 4. Hi.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. I'm Toya Lavoy. I'm with the Department of Labor and Industry, Job Service Montana, and I'm here on behalf of Job Service Libby. We're having our second annual Workforce Expo at the Memorial Center, so we are requesting the street closure on just the Memorial side from Louisiana to Mineral from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on the 23rd.
Okay. And you heard my 3 stipulations previously. Okay. So does the council have any comments or questions?
I'll make a motion to approve the Workforce Expo 2025 request from Lincoln Boulevard closure, Mineral side on April 23rd from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Okay.
Second.
Any questions or comments from the council? I know it was a really huge event last year. You had worked really hard to bring all the kids in from the schools and to get adults there. So it was huge.
Thank you.
Very
This
successful.
year we're hoping to have even bigger and better, so hopefully it'll be another great turnout.
Okay.
Thank you for bringing us to the community.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Thank you.
So are there any public comments on the street closure request from for Workforce Expo? Any public comments? Public comments? Then all in favor of the motion for street closure?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. You can see Leanne about getting your details worked out. And that brings us to the County Libby Parks District request to include the city-owned Hall Bridge as part of the route for the Circle Swede gravel ride on September 13th.
Madam Mayor, Council, Joe Taylor, here on behalf of the county's Libby Park District Board. On 13 September, we're going to have a bicycle event called Circle Suite. It will consist of 2 different routes available for riders, a 35-mile option and a 62-mile option. It's mostly through Forest Service, some state lands, and a couple of pieces of private property. The route starts and begins at J. Neal's Park and would be crossing the Hall Bridge. So our specific ask is about permission to use the bridge on those days, or actually that day, for the riders going out and back, and the city would be listed as an additional insured on our events insurance policy. So subject to your questions, that's the ask.
Make a motion to approve the county's Libby Park District request for the city-owned Hall Bridge as part of the route of the Circle Suite gravel ride on September 13th, 2025.
I'll second.
Are there any questions or comments from the council? Any public comments regarding this use of the Hall Bridge or the ride itself? Any public comments? Public comments? Then all in favor of the motion for approval?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much for helping to organize that.
Yeah, I'm excited to see another ride.
Next up would be to approve the street committee's recommendation regarding the abandonment of city-owned right-of-way off city service road. There was some information that we distributed later this afternoon. It actually had gone out earlier in earlier meetings, but apparently everybody didn't have it as a unit. So we tried to make sure that all that information got to everyone, and there's some over there. So Brian?
Yes. So in the Light Streets and Sidewalks Committee, it's been going on, or just over a year now, that the suitors had come and asked for us to abandon the road and alleyway down off of City Service Road on the property that they own surrounding it and in it, now that they've required all that property. We had several meetings. We finally gotten this to come to council and everybody so that we can have the discussion and see about possibly moving forward with this. The suitors, Jeff and Lisa, are here. If any of you guys have any questions directly for them that they can answer, they are looking to enhance the property down there. They've been taking care of it, mowing it during the summer months. This is a piece of property that, of course, you can see with the maps has easement for the transmission lines that go through it. There's an easement for the storage drain system that goes into the Kootenai. Years back, there was one part that was already abandoned, given back to the Pilneys. This all dates way back. We've tried to talk with city attorney, with Sam Sykes and Justin Williams on anything that they could possibly see for future on why we would need to keep this to make and have as a street or easement way. So far we have come up with nothing. So as of right now, the suitors are also looking at upgrading, because right now, if you go back before the alleyway, there is a sewer main that's there. It's 6-inch. They would look at tying into that, and of course putting a new 6-inch down city service or in the ditch line in the right of way to be able to carry new services to possible new lots or any development that may happen on that property. So that would be future monies that the city would be able to get on that. I guess, does anybody have any questions they'd like to ask of the council?
Thank you, Councilman Zimmerman. I think you did.
Is there
a good
anything I
job.
missed?
No, I think you.
Was trying to hit all the highlights from the last how many months, so.
Madam Mayor, if I can make one correction, I don't remember the committee. I remember making a recommendation, approaching me and asking me, do you see any reason why this shouldn't go through? I don't recollect that, so I just like to correct that. I can't speak for anybody else.
Okay.
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
In the handout we got today is a letter from Mr. Sykes that says he does not recommend we move forward with this.
Yeah, I did the letter, and I haven't been contacted since that portion of it. But there was a change in land.
You and I had a phone conversation. I'd actually left a voicemail with you, and then on a Friday, you were out of the office, and we talked on Monday. That was just a few weeks back.
Okay.
But
So
that letter goes back to when that paperwork was originally handed out. I believe is it dated last year? February. Okay. Yeah, last year. Yeah. So we have been over a year now. Mm-hmm.
Any other council comments or questions?
I don't support this. I don't see the benefit to the city for this. I see the benefit to the landowner. You buy X number of square feet of land and you get twice as much surrounding for nothing. I do not support this.
And so, just a reminder, this was platted, this public right of way, was never built. We've had a similar situation in the past. The road was never constructed. If the city is not going to use it as a road, I think the owners have a right. That's why it's written into the state law. They have a right to petition that it be abandoned. And as the city has already done, the portion to the east was abandoned and went back to the Pilnings. I think that there's far greater value to the city to abandon this road because it will not be built. It does not serve any future purpose.
I don't support this either. I don't support him giving away land. We don't know what could happen in the next 10, 5, 7 years. Not a lot of land left in Libby, and I think the city needs to hang on to what they have.
I am going to ask for a motion so that we can, and those of you who disagree are welcome to vote no. Huh? Otherwise,
I make a motion to approve the street committee's recommendation regarding the abandonment of city-owned right-of-way on city service road.
I'll second.
now, two of you have expressed no support. One is in support. Do the other have any comments to make before I open public comment?
It's my understanding that the purpose of abandoning this is to build more housing, I guess. Is that the improvement of the land?
I'm going to have the suitors come up and have them address that so you can hear it straight from them on what their intentions possibly are. There's a couple.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. So we are planning, my wife's dream is to have a wedding venue, and most of that land is encumbered by the power lines and the stormwater easement and the power line setbacks. And there is a portion of it that we would be able to use, but all the other part that is encumbered, we would turn it into grass and flower beds and potential parking for a wedding venue off the street. But then in the meantime, it would be taken care of and not weeds growing and fire danger and all that stuff. I don't know of any wedding venue in this town yet, but a lot of people think it would be a good thing to have.
Wouldn't there be a conflict with a wedding venue and the current live eagle nest right there?
I don't think so. We wouldn't throw rocks box added or anything.
They wouldn't enjoy loud music.
Any other council questions or comments before I open it to the public? Thank you. Are there any public comments on this motion to abandon this property? Jennifer?
Jennifer Nelson, 1026 Washington. I think the one thing that the council should really consider here is that that is a major piece of electrical infrastructure. And if they ever had to improve that line, widen that line, replace the wooden poles with something else, that you might have a problem of conflict if you abandon that piece of property to these landowners. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Any other public comments?
Yes. Hi, I'm Lisa Suter, and we have been going through this for over a year, and we brought it, we've been working with Kootenai surveying, and there was a concern that said, you know, we had a lot that we would have landlocked, so we were asked to do a aggregation. And so we took the recommendation at great expense and got the aggregation, and so that would not be a problem. And so it was under our understanding that if we did this, we have some emails and said, you know, this is what we recommend. And so we thought that this would be part of it, and it was a great expense. So if it's not true, then that's kind of sad for us. I mean, we are trying to do a good thing for the city, and it is never ever going to be roads. We understand the easements and the power lines and the water there. We know, and if you went and looked at it, you would know that there is never going to be anything. There's never going to be anything built underneath it or to the water. What is it called?
Wastewater.
Wastewater runoff. Yes, that's all I have to say.
Okay.
Lisa, can I ask a question?
Stormwater.
So it was your understanding through the emails that if you got all this work done with the surveyors, that you would probably end up with the property?
That there would not be a landlocked. There wouldn't be any reason for us not to, because just the distribution of. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say it.
So the two lots, one of the lot, if we didn't do the aggregation, then potentially one of the lots could possibly be landlocked if you sold the other one. And so the committee recommended that we do an aggregation, and we definitely assumed that after spending that much money, that was the last stipulation that we needed to jump through in order to get an approval. We would not have spent that much money if we didn't think that was the case.
I understand that. All right, thank you.
Brian, do you remember that request?
I do not recall that request myself. I don't know who the emails were through or from.
It was back before Gail was on the committee. It was when Gary was on.
With Gary, yeah. So I don't know if that was with Gary or anybody else, and Byron and the suitors. I don't know.
I would also just like to point out that the easement is an undefined width, correct?
For the power?
The power line is undefined. It already crosses the suitor's easement, so their property, they are already encumbered by that, so any upgrades that the power company would want to do, they would still be responsible for those upgrades. For its placement
will be out
within
of the
the
way.
easement.
We would not get it in the way.
Okay. Is there any other public comment? Mr. Orr?
So once again, this goes to the point of public record. You guys have been dealing with this for a long time. The suitors should be able to go to the minutes of the committee and find out exactly what happened. And, you know, if you got a letter from Sam in February of '24, that is public record. But if you guys' committees had minutes as required by law, this would sure be easier to sort out.
Any other public comments?
John Beebe, 704 East 9th. Been listening, you know, all along with this through the year, and it would seem not beneficial at all for the city to secede right away. I mean, right away is right away for everyone and everything. I mean, it's public right away. Given the potential for growth in the next 10 years, I don't think that's a very good idea. However, I wonder if there's not some variance to that or some other contractual means by which you can maintain the right-of-way and also facilitate their issues with development of their property. At some point in time, then you would say, well, you know, we still have a right-of-way, and then you still have your ability to develop. Yet in the future, when the right-of-way is then required, you have it. Just my suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Any other public comment? Any other public comment? Okay, so bring it back to the council table. Mr.
I would say something to Mr. Taylor on that letter that is from Sam from February 21st of 2024. When you do read his last paragraph, I recommend not approving the road abandonments as requested, as it would landlock lot number 12 on the ramp property. That's what they acquired, so they own both of those lots, so there's no landlocking now.
Okay. Any other council questions or comments?
I have a comment. I do feel badly that the suitors put out great expense on something that they thought that appears to be the end of a battle with them winning it. It saddens me that has happened.
And if you all look in the packet that was there from last year on February 7th that Byron Sanderson had sent, you'll see that, you know, there was a section back in 1980 that was given back to the Pilneys that they had given at one point back in the 60s or before for having the work done down there. So it isn't a new thing, but it hasn't happened for 45 years.
I also have to agree with Mr. Orsted. If there was current council minutes that would refer on date X, this is what the people were told.
Well, if you look them up, you will find that Gary had minutes, and the meetings that I have had have minutes.
So you get that in our packet that we were to look at.
Nobody asked for the copy of the minutes.
As Mr. Zimmerman
Goes around
pointed
your lip.
out, the recommendation from staff was to not approve based on landlocking the lot. So they have unlocked the lot, and it's no longer landlocked. Therefore, it meets the criteria. It meets all the criteria.
So, on the question of that request, I don't want to drag this out any further, but I would really like to go back, withdraw this motion, keep it alive for another meeting, and go back and through those minutes and find out what was actually said.
I agree. I would like to see what was said.
Okay?
That's what.
Okay, so do you want to withdraw your motion?
So I will withdraw the motion to approve the Streets Committee for suitors, barring investigation into the minutes from the committee meeting.
Sorry to drag this out. even more, but I think we need to be more thorough. So, thank you very much. I would like to take a 5-minute recess. People are shifting, and let's give them an opportunity to shift. Okay?
Probably was so good.
Oh, no. Thank you so very much. I appreciate you coming by.
Absolutely. Thank you for the invitation.
Hope to see more of you.
I appreciate it. I hope so too. We'll keep in touch.
So tomorrow, everybody will get that set up for dinner?
Yes,
Jackie,
please.
that's
Yeah.
why I want that TV here
That
so
there?
that you can actually see it.
Does yours have an HDMI?
Yes.
Do you know?
My computer? It should.
Okay.
It should.
If it doesn't, we can utilize this one. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll double check, but I should have one.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good, how are you?
I thought we would give you something. Oh, I was glad. I'm going to grab some more of this.
Okay. Have you heard from your mom?
No, not yet. Poor Dad. Well, Mom said he fell in the garden and he hit his head on the rototiller. Wow. That was right before my call right before the meeting.
Oh my gosh.
Dad fell in the garden and hit his head on the rototiller.
Oh my.
But I haven't heard anything yet.
Oh jeez.
This is something, I forgot,
Nothing was broken. He has 6 staples.
Okay.
Waiting for the nurse to clean him up. Oh, he's home. I see him back, yeah.
Let's see, if it was raised,
Mom beat the shit out of him. Oh, poor Daddy. And the thing is, that's his good eye. He can't hardly see on the other one. Poor Daddy.
I mean, if I'm saying yes, I'm not worried, but I am if I'm saying
Covers a lot.
I don't know. I don't know that in anything. I hate studies.
thank you.
Every month.
Okay. I want there's a lot of people shipping, so I just want to give them a chance to come and go. Patty, the government study request, and George and Linda Gerard, and then just moving it to the Lions business choices, discussing the development policy. I am going to go back and work on, but
Oh my goodness. You sent out, I thought we made a couple changes.
That was Leanne who did that. And I didn't question her about if she Yes, and that's why I had the opportunity to go back and forth. Make these changes.
No, Bill's
So, yeah, so I actually emailed you guys.
Yeah. It was like right after the meeting.
I don't know, I left the next morning.
It was
at
that.
5 o'clock.
That and another. Sorry.
Okay. Bring the meeting back to order, please.
It gets cut off. I'm going to kind of get the rundown on everything. It sounds going to be information about that.
House bill today, my daughter's brace appointment, and I go back to those things.
Okay.
It was Luanda.
Don't bang it on that. That.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, everyone please, please sit down.
Justin, start the meeting again.
Look at it.
Peggy started.
I knew this would happen.
She gambled twice.
I was going to get a hold of Kathy too and find out.
Okay. I'm doing a photo. I left the video. Okay, call the meeting back to order, please. Call the meeting back to order, please. Okay. The next item on the agenda is to approve the Parks Committee recommendation for the Rambo Memorial Plaque to be placed in Riverfront Park. Am I? Okay.
Yeah, the Parks Committee met last week with Patty Rambo and the press. And there's a bill that was passed for a memorial plaque. It's an act establishing the Staff Sergeant Arthur J. Rambo Memorial Bridge, which is the bridge right near Riverfront Park, and directing the Department of Transportation to install signs. So there's some signs going up on the bridge, and then also a plaque that will be in a spot where you can also see the bridge. And we found a good placement for that. I believe in our packets we have some pictures that shows the very last page of your packet has a little bit different spot than the original picture. It's that little red dot here. It's a good spot. So it's right in between the two boat launches. And it's actually a really nice spot. The bridge is behind it. It'll be a really nice picture point, and that's what the committee has recommended.
Okay. So are there any council comments or questions regarding Mr. Zimmerman?
So when this is put in the ground, is this actually going to have like a concrete base or something so that it's easy to mow around for the city crew?
Yes.
Okay.
I did talk to Jesse from the Department of Transportation. According to SB 59, the state will own it. They will be responsible for maintaining it, and they will help with Justin. They will install it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
It'll be flush, like with the ground,
so that,
not the grass.
so there's no weed eating. There's no.
Oh, so it's not on a pedestal.
It is on a pedestal, but
The sign's right there.
Signs right there.
Science Center.
Yeah.
Concrete at dirt level,
just like
so the
that.
mowers can just go around it.
Okay.
Okay.
There we go.
Any other questions? You, Kristen? You? Ethan? I'm sorry. Okay. Any public comment on this request and the committee's recommendation? Okay.
I'm Patty Rambo. I'm Art's little sister. And this project was not initiated by the family. It was well on the works before the family ever knew about it. And because it is my big brother, I made efforts to be involved with it because it's very important to me that my brother's memory be treated with respect, because we have protected his memory for years and years and years against the stolen image. And my heart told me it needed to be in Riverfront Park. And the place that I chose initially was because I wanted it nestled in the trees. Somebody pointed out today that your guys' suggestion is where the dogs poop, where people walk their dogs. So that's a concern of mine, but the fact that it's looking right at the bridge is important to me, that it be placed in a wonderful place like Riverfront Park, and that his memory have the just honor and respect that it deserves. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Any other public comments? Any, Mr. Beebe?
John Beebe, 704 East 9th. As a veteran, I'm gonna just say, yeah. I got to looking into this. The VFW initiated it. I mean, I want to thank Sergeant Rambo for his service, and I want to speak in support of this and remind everybody that when that movie come out, old Rambo got busted right there on the bridge first thing when the movie starts. And I really do want to support this. Thank you, brother.
Any other public comments? Any other public comments? Then, I'm sorry, I kind of got, is there a motion?
Not yet.
I didn't think so, okay. So,
I'll make a motion. Make a motion that we approve the Parks Committee recommendation for the Rambo Memorial Plaque.
I'll second.
okay. Before we vote, any questions or comments? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Patty, very much.
Thank you.
I know this is very near and dear to your heart.
Thank you, Patty.
Move on to the Rotary request for the city-supported proposed area of veterans, and that is George Gerard.
Thanks, George Gerard, the Rotary Club of Cookie Valley, and this ties in beautifully with Patty just presented here. I want to talk about veterans, and I think our community does a great job of honoring our veterans. It came to my attention a few months ago that Montana ranks near the top in veteran suicide, and it was very concerning to me and to our club, and we tried to figure out some things we could do about it. And I think the one thing that we can do is bring public awareness to veterans in our community. I think it's to the benefit of our community to hire veterans and keep them safe. So we're proposing two things, and it really doesn't affect the city because those will be primarily taking place on private property. Any event that we talk about the city, I'd be working with Brian to do that. At this point, we're not talking about the city's involvement in this. So we're talking about two things. One is veteran parking spaces. And that can happen in three ways. You know, have the sign you put on the building, a sign you have on a pole that's movable, and a sign on a pole that's mounted into the ground. And we're talking about, you know, at the different stores. Another option is the kind of a logo thing, like the handicap. It would be painted on the parking spot. And right now at the schools, our kids are designing possible symbols to do that. And we'll get those in, and then we'll have some veterans choose which one they thought is the best. So that deals with parking. And the object here is not that the veterans need the parking. The veterans that need that parking already have handicap spots. The idea is calling attention to veterans and recognizing veterans. And then this second aspect of this would be a plaque that would be going into the windows of participating businesses. And the plaque would look, this is still a work in progress, the plaque would look something like this. And you notice there's a QR code down here. And when they scan that QR code, it would lead them to phone numbers where they could get services, both locally and nationally. So those are the two things that we're looking at doing. If, perchance, you decided you wanted to have a veteran parking place here, then I would be working with Brian to do something like that. So just wanted to call your attention to what we're doing, looking for your support in promoting this, and I think we all owe it to our veterans to do everything we can to keep them healthy.
Thank you, George.
Any questions?
Actually, Chief Birkenbrock has left, but I'm not sure that we can make designated parking places other than handicapped that are enforceable. In other words, you could put a sign up, but it's not enforceable.
I know it's not enforceable.
Okay.
Absolutely, I know that.
Okay.
But the idea is not to enforce it. The idea is to recognize the people.
Okay.
Make sure that. Brian?
I just have one question for you, George. The QR code and all that, I think that's great. The only thing that I seem to run into in my business with things, that older generation, the smartphones are too smart for the people, and not having that kind of app on your phone. So are you guys thinking of also having hard copies with the names and numbers for if the vets ask the business owners?
We can certainly do that. When I talked to the chamber, they already asked me for that.
Okay. I just didn't know what all you guys were talking about, but I know that's just something that's always in my head, that not all of us are all that tech savvy.
The reality is that most of the people that we're looking at that are committing to suicide are young people.
For the younger
And
ones,
that's
okay.
the sad thing about this.
Okay. Thank you.
So, look, I'm not looking for anything. You know, it's amazing, I'm not even asking for any money. I'm just asking you for your blessings.
That's a
on
good
this
thing
project.
that's a good thing to hear.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Gerard, thank you for all the work you've put into this. It's a wonderful program. I'm a veteran myself. I don't need any special parking, but
No, I understand.
If there's anything I can do personally to help you with this program, please let me know.
Thank you very much. Might be passing out these.
I'm sure we'll do it for you.
Thank you for taking this on and bringing it to the community. That's great.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Any public comment on this request?
I'm Linda Gerard. I'm a Rotarian. I'm just gonna address Brian's comment. I'm a veteran. I'm 77 years old, and I have a smartphone, and I know how to use it.
Any other public comment?
My name is Alani Holcomb, 447 of CD Road. Side note, freshman year in high school, I did a school project on the National Veteran Suicide Rate. That was back in 2019, and it was about 22. And the National Veteran Suicide Rate right now is about 17 per day. 2021, it was about 33 per day. 2022 and 2023 is about 18 per day. So it has gone down, but like you said, it is higher among active duty young service members. Not so much Vietnam, World War II era, but definitely among the younger veterans, suicide is inactive.
Thank you.
Thank you for that info.
Any other public comments?
Good evening, Tabitha Fairgate, 332 Spencer Hill Avenue. I am president-elect of our Rotary here in Libby, and George brought this idea to the Rotary. When he first brought it up, I did some research. In 2012, there's a blanket policy that disabled veterans do not qualify automatically for a handicap spot. So just because they have disabled veterans on their tags doesn't mean that they automatically get better parking. And we have to also consider the age is a wide range. I think the idea is that George wants to put these in things like Rosar's and Watson's Market over in Troy, things like that. So it wouldn't be anything that you guys would have to enforce or regulate or even put on Mineral or a city street. It's just the idea that we want to have our veterans in our community recognized.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Any other public comments? Okay, then moving on to the next agenda item is the request from the Local Government Study Commission to be on the agenda. That was passed on from by Mr. Taylor. Do you have any other information regarding that request?
The Libby Local Government Study Commission, it was voted on by the people, brought on to do a government review study after every 10 years. They have a new spokesperson, or the elected spokesperson, Mr. Backen, that would like to give every meeting, or at least one meeting a month, update on what they're doing and the progress they're making. And they've asked me to bring that forward for request to be on the agenda.
Okay. Council have any comments? You had indicated in the past you weren't really interested in having them on the agenda. I don't know if that's changed.
No, it hasn't changed.
No, they, with having their own, talking with people at the state and stuff like that, with them having their own separate entity, we're not together. So, I mean, if anybody wants anything from their group, going to them, talking to them, going to their meetings versus being here, I'm okay with it. I try and keep on top with all what minutes they do have.
You're okay with them being on the agenda?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't need it.
Got lost in the...
Sorry.
My views haven't changed either.
believe they're a separate entity and should stay there.
Okay. I would suggest that if they have a specific item they want to talk about, then they make it as a specific request, but not to have, the feeling is not to have them as a regular reoccurring update on the agenda. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Okay. Do you feel the need to put that in an actual motion and vote, or just a consensus view?
I think it fails for lack of a motion.
Okay.
We don't have it as an action item.
No.
I
It's
don't
not on
know.
the agenda as
But
an action item.
yes. So, you can take that back to the.
Certainly will.
Okay.
No public comment?
Yes. I was getting to that. Is there any public comment on the? Mr. Orr?
Oh, go ahead.
I got thrown under the bus because Vince isn't here. The interest in getting on the agenda is, as occasionally required, to update the council on progress and to promote partnering. Nobody knows more about our local government than you guys. You're the local government. My suggestion when we discussed this was, we don't want to do this every time. We don't want to be, but there's, our timeline has certain points where we could likely benefit in giving a report and receiving input from you guys, like after our public meeting or prior to the initial or tentative report, and once or twice after that, prior to the final report, just to communicate and to initiate partnering and encourage ideas and communication. And that was the idea, was not to be forcefully on the agenda every meeting and to take a bunch of your time. We don't want to do that. We're independent. We know what we're going to do. But I would like to suggest that we occasionally get on the agenda and make a report throughout this process to encourage partnering and to present ourselves to the community as such, that we are partnering and looking out for the community's best interests. The people of Libby, not the government, not the commission, but the people. And I think it would benefit us all to do that occasionally. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Orr, did you want to speak?
So understand that the Local Government Study Commission is a electorate mandate. The people you guys claim to serve voted us to do the work that we're doing. Now, in the past, these have not had great public buy-in. They have passed, but they have not had a groundswell of local support. I kind of feel like you guys don't want us to succeed at what we're doing. We've been given an email that is unmanageable. We were given an office that really isn't an office. We've been censored from giving reports. Now, we do advertise in the newspapers, and we spend a lot of city budget on that. And it's just money thrown away, because in addition to that, the people, you had a big crowd here tonight. People could hear what we're doing, the work that we're doing for them, that they voted for, that they elected us to do. But you guys continue to stifle us in the work that we're doing. And I hope you will give us an opportunity to give some reports at different times. But I understand you don't like what we're doing. It's going to change the way you guys do business. And in my mind, that's a good thing. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Any other public comment? Okay, then if there's no other comments from the council, we'll move on to approve the liquor license applications to date, which is Po Sam's at 119 Mineral Avenue.
I'll make the motion to approve all liquor license applications received to date.
Second.
Any questions on that liquor license? Any public comments on the liquor license? Public comments? Excuse me, public comments? Then all in favor of the motion to approve the liquor license for Po Sam's?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That liquor license is approved. Brings us to approve all claims received to date.
Make a motion that we approve all claims received to date.
Second.
Okay, does everybody get a chance to look at the claims, and are there any questions concerning them? Any public comments on the claims? I'll remind you that you're welcome to look at them. The bills the city pays as it does business. Any Monday you can come in and talk to Leanne or up front and take a look at them. So any public comment? Okay, all in favor of approval of the claims?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Those claims are approved. So it brings us to business license applications received to date. Northwest Montana Plumbing Services, Sunship Tecon LLC. We're going to skip the TV machining and go to Tiffany's Helping Hands.
I'll make a motion that we approve all business licenses.
Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped your home improvement company. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we were kind of waiting, sorry.
Sorry, no, I didn't move that paper down far enough.
But, second?
Okay. Any questions on any of those business licenses? Then public comment on the business license. Any public comment? Public comment. Then all in favor of approving the business license received to date?
Aye.
Opposed? A motion carries. Those business licenses are approved. Brings us to unfinished business discussion of the Libby Development Fund policy and application process. Ms. Smith thinks that she sent out an updated copy based on what changes we had talked about.
I sent it to you guys.
I don't remember because you sent it right after the last meeting and I was gone by that point. Leanne, do you remember seeing it?
I don't remember seeing it.
Okay. So I'm sorry. We fell down.
I would say due to the late hour and the length of this, can we pick it up at the next meeting?
Sure.
I have had way too many cookies and I'm really
That leads to general comments from the council. I have a couple of comments. If any council members have public comments or comments, and I'll make I have a couple. One of my first comments is that by MCA, the police commissioner's terms go from May 1st, and so there's one up for renewal in May 1st. You might have seen it advertised in the paper, and I have spoken to Steve Boyer, who has that term, and he has not gotten back to me as to whether he is interested in renewing that, but that will be on the next agenda to fill that position. Arbor Day is April 25th. Jennifer's working on some work to plant a couple of trees and what for us to do for a celebration. If you have any ideas, let me know. Sam brought up the hydrology study and the soils pile. That's good news to get that all taken care of and look into that. Also back in January, I talked to you and brought forward Montana Department of Commerce through the Main Street program had some technical assistance grants that they were distributing out to communities, and I was looking at using it to revisit Mineral Avenue beautification. My idea is really goes no further than trying to upgrade the sidewalks and upgrade the lighting. But that technical assistance grant is, I had kind of gone dormant, so I thought that they had lost the funding. But he did contact me last week, and that's back on the table, and so that will be coming forward to start sometime in late April. They have the Department of Commerce has consultants that they give these projects out to. They will come, they will look at the community, they will talk to the community, we'll have public hearings, and we will see what the community would like to do. And they're a part of the proposal is they also figure out implementation money. So I hadn't said anything because it had been so quiet, but that's back up. The other thing is the IP discussion. I did send out a small comment about that. To date, it sounded very positive, but to date we've received no written proposal. And so until we receive that written proposal, there's really not a lot more to say, other than they came, they talked, they sounded positive. It was the best that we've had any conversation. It's the only conversation we have had with IP since early 2021, the best I can tell. Because they had this outside counsel from Denver that his job seemed to be to stymie the city. And so he was a hard no. He never moved from hard no. Now they are replacing him, and they're more open to conversation.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
They're the ones that stopped communicating with us, correct?
Yes, they are. They made, if you those on the council remember, they made this really small offer, really almost insulting. And so when we said no, they said, okay, it's done. And so that's where the communication stopped. So hopefully they will, in the next week or so, come back with an offer that revisits that 2010 contract. And
it sounds positive, so that's
yes.
great.
So that's what we're hoping for. So any other questions or comments before I ask for a meeting adjournment? No public comment is taken at this point, Patty.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned. Patty, what do you
What would you like, Pat?
The family was given the opportunity to choose when the bridge dedication would be.
Okay.
And we're looking at it being the Sunday, May 25th before Memorial Day, so it won't conflict with any of the other